and gentlemen. Welcome to this special edition of the Inter-University Debate. My name is Nancy Caroline Ayot. I am your host. Today's episode comes at a defining moment as Uganda marks 30 years of its constitution. We reflect a powerful and yet provocative question: the credibility of elections in Uganda since 1961. We're debating under the theme Uganda's unending quest for free, fair and credible elections. From the hopeful days of our independence to the tense elections of the 2000s and beyond, Uganda's electoral journey is a mix of ambition, controversy, and calls for reform. But how far have we come? And where do we go from here? With us today on the show, we have a panel of students from the Islamic University in Uganda, Mbale campus. Thank you so much, my panelists, for coming all the way. And how are you doing this morning? And I am going to introduce you, starting from my extreme left, coming in. You'll introduce yourself and what year you're in and what course you're doing. But also, you just tell us how you slept. So on my extreme left is Humeima Zaina. Humeima, welcome to the Inter-University Show.
Hello viewers, I'm a law student at Islamic University in Uganda in second year. Thank you so much, and I'm glad that we're going to have a nice conversation.
Thank you so much. And then we have Tamira Alexander. Welcome to the Inter-University Show. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Many thanks, Nancy. Good morning, viewers. From Islamic University in Uganda, Mbale campus, and I'm in year 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander. We also have Chemusto Ruth Gloria. Ruth, welcome to the Inter-University Show. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Nancy. So I'm Chemusto Ruth Gloria once again. I'm a law student in year 2 at Islamic University in Uganda, Mbale campus, and I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you very much. And then we have Mr. Tamale Ahmed. Ahmed, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Nancy.
For having you.
For having me.
Thank you. Also, we will like to dive straight into the conversation because each panelist presents a unique lens of analysis, and these questions will help, they will help us unpack the Uganda's unending quest for free and fair elections. So, to begin with you, Mr. Tamale, looking back to Uganda's first elections in 1961 and comparing them with today, and we know that those were not the very first type of elections that were held in Uganda, but the first national ones in 1961. What trends stand out in terms of credibility and transparency?
Thank you very much, Madam Nancy. That's quite a very interesting question. When we are talking about elections, I pray to first go back and define before proceeding to 1961.
Yes, please.
An election is a formal way through which individuals hold public offices. And now, how do we have it in Uganda? It starts before. I'm going to first establish the framework before going back to the 1961. So our constitution now, from Article 1, provides for the supremacy of the people who shall be governed according to their consent. And if you look at Article 1, Clause 4, the consent should emanate from a free and a fair election. Now, Uganda's electoral history has been a bit dramatic from 1961. And in 1961, we had the first direct elections where we had almost everyone in Uganda voting. Why was it unique? And what are the most important things we should note in going to 2026? The 1961 elections being the first direct elections, we had regional representation. However, we saw a bit some circumstances like the boycott, but they were extended to every region. And we had direct and fair representation. Why am I saying so? We were given 83 seats in the Legico, and Ugandan had to go for them. We saw that the DP had almost 43 seats, and the Uganda People's Congress, by then, they had 37 seats. So why am I saying it was unique? At that time, we saw the first big number of people, Africans, in the Legislative Council. So we said should be a fair and a fair elections, and people should be able to determine who is to govern them. And this is why I'm saying the people decided at that time. A lot of questions are going to arise that are they really special when the Ugandans boycotted? But Madam Nancy, I pray to ask you a certain question. This is the university competition. We have 25 universities. So if you say that we have a topic on the unending quest on a credible, free and fair elections, then there comes a university out of the 25 that says that that topic is a bit political. We are not going out in it. And the other 24 universities come. Is that going to be still a free and fair election, or it is going to be unfair because the other one has gone? It remained fair because these people have decided on their own.
It was a rhetoric question.
Yeah.
Okay, go on,
Yes.
please.
Now, I'm saying it was special because at that time we saw people coming to power through elections. Another unique thing about it was I like the regulatory framework and the control because at that time we were in a transition from a colonial rule to a democratic governance. So at that time they made structures where for one to come for leadership should be educated at that time. That's when we saw elites like the Chiwanukas, we saw elites like the Apollo Militon Obotes, we saw elites coming for leadership.
Yes.
And another thing, it was a bit controlled. For one to come, they considered merchandise, franchise. What do you have? Are you coming when you're poor? So let us come back to what we have these days. People come after borrowing huge sums of money. They don't consider what you have.
Would you not say that since 1961 until today, it's somehow still difficult for people who are poor or people who are not educated to actually join leadership structures? Doesn't that de-enfranchise the poor people, for example, or the non-elite?
I'm sorry to say like this, but it's about ideas and what you have. So my response to that is, right now we are in a situation where we're fighting corruption. And corruption and embezzlement is seen from the people who come when they are poor. People use huge sums of money to borrow, and after attaining offices, they have to repay the money they got back. They will see huge sums of embezzlement coming from these people. So why was I saying that this was bit fair and free? Because a person who has, why do you have to steal? Why do you have to divert public resources? So for me, I think it is one of the unique things we saw at that time. It's not about being poor or being rich, but what are you going to give to people and what are you going to take from the people?
What common questions do you see from that election that still exist, that continue to exist in the different elections that took place, 1962, 1994, or even in 2016 and now 2021? What common themes did you see reoccurring in those different elections?
The common things I'm now seeing, we saw a bit of the regional supremacy in 1961, where the Ugandan claimed, because in 1961 they wanted their leadership to emanate from the Luchiko. And now they claim the supremacy of Uganda at that time. So that's the supremacy of a certain religion hunted those elections. And as the reason, we went back and we were forced to go in the 1962 elections. And now, why am I saying it is common now? We are seeing certain people, no, political parties now came to be of a certain religion and of a certain region.
Yes.
So, as for now, people still believe that the UPC belongs to the north.
Thank you so much. Ahmed, you've highlighted the Buganda question, the regional imbalances, and also nepotism in all of this. Thank you so much for your submission. I would like to now go to Ruth. Ruth, I would like to ask you, 30 years since the promulgation of the 1995 Constitution, has it delivered its promise of guaranteeing free, fair elections, or it is a promise that is still yet unfulfilled?
Thank you so much, Nancy. So, 30 years down the road, since 1995, there are a lot of promises that we have. And of course, the ruling party has been NRM from that time, I think since 1986. And even besides the free and fair elections, they have a lot of promises they give us. We have a 10-point program that I still think it has tried. Yeah, it has tried to reach there. So when we go to the free and fair elections, I wouldn't say there would be free and fair elections, yet we still have a lot of cries from the people. But also I would ask a question to Ugandans that if we still continue, because the questions that you'll hear from people is the opposition is being kind of put behind than the others. It's being oppressed, oppression of the opposition. But then, is it not still us voting for this? So when we go through the elections that have happened since 1995, so I'm born in 2003. So I know of elections of 2006, I've heard about them, 2000, I think 16, 2021, I think 2016 and 2021 are the ones I start to engage a lot. I was now of age and I start to see. So when I just dive to 2000, I think 2006 is when we have opposition now coming up to run for power, to run with NRM. And up to now, I think Besigye has failed to reach there. And that wouldn't be my issue to address, because we have seen him struggle a lot to reach there. But I think we also just, as Ugandans or as opposition, I don't know if it's the problem with the ruling party or it's the problem with the opposition. That couldn't be our issue at the moment. But as NRM, I think with the promises they give us, they have tried. I wouldn't take a side. I would say they have achieved it to a certain point, but to a certain point they haven't. Because when you look at free and fair elections, it's characterized by certain things. Things like constitutionalism, things like participation, how inclusive is it? And we have had 2006, 2016, 2021, and NRM is declared the winner of these elections. And of course, there are a lot of background noise of rigging of elections. We had one time where in 2021 where there is internet shutdown. So all those things will raise questions to us. We have a lot of petitions that come up. Even just of recent, when we had the NRM primaries, we had a lot of petitions. Those that are lawyers will actually confirm with me. They registered a lot of petitions where they claim there's a lot of rigging of elections. So that would be my issue to talk about today, because that is the biggest issue we are facing today. There's a lot of ballot stuffing, so that would be my issue, that NRM or maybe the ruling party or the 1995 constitution has actually failed to achieve. But the other thing also, when we're looking at free and fair elections, I think we look at how inclusive is it. I talked about inclusivity, but I think it has achieved that. Why do I say so? Because we see all categories of people are being represented. We have the women. The women now have a chance to run for these offices, which was not there before. So I think they have achieved that one. We have the young people, we have the youth. We have seen a lot of young people running for this position. You'll see the youth member of parliament, the youth in charge of internal affairs and all of that. Then we have also seen that people with disabilities. So I think inclusivity would be a part of free and fair elections, which I think the 1995 constitution in the 30 years run has actually achieved. And I think I would be happy to see ladies speak to where they are today. I would be happy to see a lady like Anita Mong represent us in parliament. I would be happy to see that we have seats in parliament. When we go to sit, we can have the young people represent us, we can have the disabled being represented, and we have the gents as well. So that would be my point of credibility in the 1995 constitution.
Go on.
Thank you so much. So that would be a point of appreciation, and I would tell Ugandans, I think we can applaud the 1995 constitution. But then, still looking at the 1995 constitution, I think free and fair elections includes political independence. It also includes democracy, and the question of democracy is still big. Is Uganda democratic? Are we living in a democratic state? I think it's still a big question for us to address, which I think we need to look at it. We need to address it. The stakeholders should look to it. I think democracy still needs an upper hand. It still needs us to look into it. And when I'm talking about certain things, I always don't want to look into a party or something, but I would just say that as Ugandans, it is us to achieve that. It is not NRM, it is not, it's not NOOP, it's not a political party to achieve that. It is Ugandans to achieve democracy. And that is where we stand a chance to lead there, if me and you can stand up for what we actually want. The other issue to free and fair elections is the issue of corruption. And I think that is my biggest issue that I've kept looking at. I think since the time I'm in high school, we have kept debating about corruption. We have talked about corruption. It has become an issue. But who is corrupt? It's me and you. It's me and you, like looking at me, the viewers. We are the ones that are actually leading to it. It's not a political party. I don't want to say that it is NOOP or it is NRM that is actually corrupt. It's just basically me and you. And if you're in an office and you're already leading an office, you're a school head teacher, but then you are already having favoritism, that is already corruption. You're actually swindling funds for school fees in a school, so that would actually be corruption. So we have things where people are voting for a certain amount of money. We are being bribed with money so that we can vote someone into power. So we are not voting people who will do what we want. So it is us that are actually accepting this kind of corruption. That's where we are not achieving the free and fair elections. So where we are reaching is where we need that if I'm giving someone a vote to represent me in parliament, can't that person be actually a person that is credible enough? Isn't it someone supposed to be on merit, someone on merit, not because they have the money, not because they have bought me salt. So that is where we failed to achieve the free and fair elections. If we continue with that, then I think we're not even going to achieve it. So the 1995 constitution, I would say, has tried its level best. And they cannot do it alone. They do it with me and you. So when we fail at our points, then I think that is where we have failed to achieve the free and fair elections. Thank you.
Follow-up question.
Yes, please.
Have the elections been safe for people to engage in?
I think some have been. And looking at, I think, 2021 elections, I would say they were not safe for us. I would literally talk about that one. Because I think also like covered up with COVID-19 that had come at that time, we had a lot of people dying. We had a lot of people in the streets. And the other thing I would talk about free and fair elections is the issue of military involving in politics. I think I just have a big problem with military involving in politics. And you find that there are a lot of people dying at the time when we are having elections. So I think that would not also be safe for us Ugandans, because when you looked at 2021, you would see people going in the streets to campaign, to the young people trying to demonstrate, but you would see tear gas like blown everywhere. You would hear of there's so many kind of people dying. So I think that would be something for us to talk about, and we are like, it wasn't safe. So maybe as we prepare for 2026, I do not know what they have for us in plan, but I had a problem with military involving in our elections. It wasn't actually safe, and it is not actually safe. But then you also question the kind of demonstrations that we are doing. Maybe that's the reason they would give us the military to involve in politics. Maybe sometimes people get rowdy. But as a person, my personal opinion, I do not just see it as a good idea to have military involved in politics, because it's not actually safe for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth, for your submission. We will go to Alexander. You've had, the pace has been set for this conversation and it's going hot. So I am going to bring you to talk about institutions, especially the Electoral Commission. Do you believe that Uganda's Electoral Commission operates independently, or is so politically inclined to deliver credible elections? Because we've talked about violence, we've talked about corruption and monetization of politics. You've had the previous speakers. But also we've talked about unequal representation, especially in terms of how people have to borrow large sums of money to actually represent themselves, and yet this is supposed to be a democracy, the government of the people, by the people, for the people. So do you think it is independent or it is inclined to a certain position?
Yeah, many thanks once again, Madam Nancy. Well, when we talk about the institution, like actually it is not electoral commission, it is independent electoral commission with the autonomy that it holds. To be independent, it is separate from any other entity. No one can influence the views of electoral commission. Well, it has been a question that I think I'm going to answer because it is a question that has been asked for a long time. Is it independent? Is it delivering to the expectation? Well, this is a question of democracy, like you said. When we talk about democracy, let's draw where do we get this democracy from? Well, the word democracy itself, it owes its origin in Greece, yep, and it is coined in two words. The word demo, which means people, and the kratos, which means rule by. So it means that rule by the people. So if there is a law that has been set or made by the parliament is having members of parliament who are representing different regions, constituencies from all over Uganda. Because when we say rule by the people, we don't say that every person should go to the what? To the parliament. But those representatives. So when they make a law, like we have the Political Parties Organizations Act, we have the Law of Electoral Commission also. So the Electoral Commission has been judged, but people should also ask, what is the role of Electoral Commission? That is the question, the only question. Because if you're saying that there is army that is coming, first ask yourself that when army is coming to the election, maybe to disperse the opposition, is it called by the Electoral Commission? Who is bringing the army? Because you see when the chairperson of the Electoral Commission is saying that the army, we did not invite it here. It has come by itself. So who should we ask that question? Because the chairperson is saying, I also don't know about the army. The mandate of Electoral Commission has been set by the Constitution, organizing election, making civic education, people to be aware of their rights. And already right now, when you look at what Electoral Commission has done, the roadmap is already out. We've held youth elections already. We are now heading to the, I think in January, we shall begin general elections, starting with the local, with the districts elections. Then in February, we shall go to the general election for the presidents and the MPs. So what is all this drawing us to know is that what is the mandate of the Electoral Commission? Because when we are asking that are you autonomous? Are you doing what you're supposed to do? We should first of all scrutinize and understand what is the role of Electoral Commission. When you look at the people that actually vandalize Electoral Commission and they attack it, they just don't know the role of Electoral Commission. Because when you're trying to do, like, you're trying to judge someone, first ask what is your role. Look at even the head of Electoral Commission. There is no any skepticism about him. Justice, even the title, Justice Biamukama, Justice. Someone who has been seeing rule of law at place, he has been enforcing the law. I mean, he wants to see the law at the peak. So everything he does, it is within the confines of the law. Only that people want him to go. Electoral Commission has done its mandate as it is supposed to do. But the question that people always bring, they want it to do things that are ultra via. They are beyond their scope. If Electoral Commission has been brought like, and this is what you have to do, and this and this and this, it is what it is doing. I will draw an example of the recent by-elections in Kawempe. We all didn't want what we saw there. The brutalizing of the people, beating of press personnel, yep. Beating all those people, like people on camera, why do you beat them? But even the chairperson of the Electoral Commission is telling you that, no, even me, I don't know. So is the Electoral Commission the intelligence of Uganda? The person to blame here is not Electoral Commission. And I hear people saying, if the referee is not fair, then the game cannot be fair. Who said that the referee is not fair? Look at the parliament of Uganda right now. Are we having only members of NRM? Actually, I don't say that I support NRM also, because they have their flaws, which actually I don't like. But then, for me, when I'm judged, because main, when you look at everyone, according to the constitution of Uganda, everyone is supposed to protect the constitution. Every Ugandan is supposed to protect the constitution. So the electoral commission, the only question that we should ask, that is it going ultra via, or is it the things are still in hands of electoral commission, or it has gone ultra via? This one is like, let me give you an example. In medicine, there is something they call hypochondriac. Hypochondriac, it is like a situation of despair. When someone is afraid of that is sick, but yet is not sick. For you are afraid, you say that perhaps I have this disease, because you've not gone to the medical checkup, but you're just afraid that is this like this? I think it is what is bringing all this question, because someone is saying, but the chairperson is appointed by the president, but a justice, a judge who has been in an independent organ and after retiring is appointed as the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. I think I commend the president, though I don't agree with him on certain things, but I commend him on appointing Justice Byamukama as the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, because he has tried to make sure that all things are within the confines of the law. So the only question we should ask is that, has the Electoral Commission gone beyond? But if it is doing what it is supposed to do, then we can say that it is doing what they are supposed to do.
Yeah, give me a moment. I want to ask you a small follow-up question. So would you say that with the involvement of the army, where the head of the commission does not know why they are involved, and yet they come and they disorganize the ballot, would you say that the Electoral Commission is actually in charge?
Okay, what to be in charge is that what is the Electoral Commission doing? Okay, I want us to know the question here, and we draw our attention to that. Because some of us, like me personally, I'm not moved by emotions, but I look at the law. Like I told you in the first place, that the Constitution has given every Ugandan, the 1995 Constitution, a mandate to protect it. So for me, my thing is someone who attacks the Constitution. When the chairperson of the Electoral Commission comes out and said that, okay, I have seen very well all the things that are going on, but is also asking, why is this like this? And he tells you that I even wrote the letter to these people. So the Electoral Commission, your question is that, is it in charge? Well, it is in charge to a certain extent, but to another extent, it is not in charge. Because if someone comes again and overrides your role, then that becomes a question for you. What are you doing, you personally? But then in law, there is what they call a presumption of the law. What do they presume is that if someone says something and you don't rebut it, it is taken to be true. But until you do what, you rebut it. So the questions have been there, and the Electoral Commission has been answering those questions. Is that, look, I've been writing to the military to know why are these people being incarcerated. So the question would be, the Electoral Commission as an entity, it is trying to do its work, but there are people that are vandalizing it. So my prayer is that let the army, let all the external factors that are trying to override the power of Electoral Commission, just leave it to work like in an autonomous way. But then the blame should not be put on Electoral Commission, because if it has been legitimizing all those things, we would blame it. But they also come out and they say that this is not true. And that is what I've told you, the presumption of the law. The law presumes that if something is said, it is true until you rebut it. Electoral Commission has tried to rebut the same.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alexander. Now, Ahmed, I will come to you, but we need to allow her to speak, and then we will come and you'll have a rejoinder. Is that okay? Yes. So, Homeima, yes, you've had all our precurrent speakers, and they've submitted on pretty critical issues. And now we have to dive actually into the army, because we're talking about institution, and the army has been mentioned ever since the beginning of this conversation. So what should be done with state institutions, including the police and army, who are accused of interfering in the elections? what is the role of the army in elections? And does the army actually have a role in the elections? Or should they be participating in the elections? If so, what type of mandate is giving them the power to actually be in the elections?
Thank you so much. Talking about the army is a very important entity in the country, and also the police, it's very important in the country. But looking at the election part of it, the army has been evolving since all these years, since it came to place. We have seen the army, whether the situation is calm, whether the situation is, the army has always been evolving itself. Now the question comes, who is the one leading this army to come into place, to come and, keep around the people? We see that the Police Act provides for the police to just borrow an upper hand to the army to come in and do what? And help where need. But in our elections, we see that most times people are calm, but until the provocation of maybe the police handling people, their shirts, handling people, their clothes, that's when people blast out. So looking at the army is supposed to keep the borders of Uganda. It's supposed to protect, and that's their role. It's supposed to end there, keep the border, keep the safety of the people. So our question goes, why is it always involving itself in the elections? We find out that this army, it's the president, of course, is the chief commander. And now the president being the chief commander, no one goes against their boss. Even if I put you, Nancy, to work for me, you can't go against me. Even if I'm wrong, you can't go against me. So we see that the army always works for their boss, the command of their boss, and there is no army that works for its own self. No, there is no army that will come, and come out and be like, yes, there has to be a command that has been given, go in. So there has always been a bias by Ugandans that about the army involving. They think that the army involves in our elections due to the opposition, due to the madness of the opposition. Of course, they've termed the opposition to be the center of madness. They've termed all the opposition, mostly the NUP, they've termed it as a center of madness. So I think because of that narrative, they're always insecure about the security of the people. That's why they involve it in the election. But me, I don't see it a good thing for Uganda, for the Electoral Commission or the Ugandan government or the people in charge of the army to always involve, because they're always causing danger, they're always causing pain. Like yesterday's news I was watching, and the way these opposition people are being harassed. Now the question comes that why is the army always harassing the opposition and always handling the ruling party well? That's the biggest question. Now when we look at the elections that the opposition people are always involving themselves, we see that how tough the army is to them. But when it's the ruling party, we find out that this army, there is a way they handle. Like we look at Kololo, there were a lot of disorganization, fighting, but there was no much harm that the army did. Actually, it was the police that came in and, just to calm the matters. But take the one of Kawempe. Kawempe, it was just something small and people were beaten, thrown, bruised, others to the hospital. So it's not good for the army, and it's not right for the army to involve in these elections, because it's causing more harm than good. It's only the police that has to take the roles, and of which it's just there to protect the tallying stations. It's there to protect the votes. It's there to protect the people, and these people who are in charge, because Ugandans. Uganda is a pearl of Africa, and Ugandans don't disappoint. They find you with the tallies, they beat you, of course. So that's the role of the police, not the army. Now we find out that in situations like the recent elections of Kawempe, we even see the SFC coming in, and you ask yourself, like, was it necessary for this SFC to come in? Like, was this, did we have rebels in here that they should bring masked people to just cause fear amongst the people, to cause them, like, to be on tension? And of course we saw that during that time, it caused a lot of tension. It caused a lot of, fear amongst the people. People were just there, and we see that the Ugandan government was all watching its army, scaring people, making people fear. So one thing I'll tell us that no one goes against their boss, and we see that they have a person who leads them. They have a person who commands them to do this. And it will be good if the Ugandan government always commands this army to stay out of elections because it's causing more harm than good. It will be right for them to be in their place. They shouldn't be in people's places. The Electoral Commission is something independent. It decides for its own without being told anything, without being drived. So they can decide whether to have the army. They can decide according to the laws. That's why we say that I applaud the president so much for always putting someone who knows the law, let me say Chief Justice, for always putting them to be the right hands of the Electoral Commission, because they know how to handle this law. So it will be upon them with the use of the law to decide whom to bring into their election process, to see the person who should be involved or the person who should not be involved. But of course, as I earlier stated, these people do not come by their own selves. They are commanded to come, and they have no say, and the election has no say, because still the election, we say that it's appointed by the president, and the president is the one of the ruling party, and there is no one, of course, who will not favor their party.
So what I'm getting is that the president, who has been a participant in most of these elections,
Yes.
appoints the election bodies and sends the armies to the election. So would you say that these are signs of a credible, free and fair election?
These are the signs, but they are not credible at all. These are just signs to show us that these things are not credible, because tell me, the ruling party is the one appointing the Electoral Commission. It's always commanding. Why doesn't Uganda come up with a separate body that will appoint the Electoral Commission, not particularly the president? Because as I earlier stated, of course, no one goes against their boss. The president will have to elect the Electoral Commission, and we say that Electoral Commission cannot go against the president. So what if Uganda comes up with a separate body, a separate entity that appoints the Electoral Commission, that heads the army, that so that these political parties do not involve in issues of appointing the Electoral Commission, doesn't involve in issues of bringing in the army in place. So if we have that, we shall say that there will be free and fair elections. But right now, there is nothing like free and fair elections.
Thank you, Humaima. Now, I will ask you to come in and bring in your rejoinder in about 2 minutes. Then we can go for a break.
Thank you very much, Madam Nancy. Still wondering, and I am going to respond on the question of the independence of the Electoral Commission. To analyze from what the last two speakers have already submitted, before we even question ourselves on is it independent or not, we should first know what is the meaning of independence. You must be in a position to control yourself and not having instructions from any other authority. So, who appoints the chairperson of the Electoral Commission? If you look at Chapter 5 of the Constitution of Uganda, he is the president. Not only the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, but also other commissioners, 5 of them. The one appoints is the president. Still leaving that, then where do you appeal after the elections? The one appoints them is the president. That's not even court. That's the committee that handles electoral petitions. And now the question is, who appoints the judges? Again, the president. So, do you believe, as Madame Zaina has said, someone can leave instruction of the boss? So the answer is the Electoral Commission is still not independent.
Thank you very much. 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you so much. I would submit on the same of the autonomy of Electoral Commission. When they say that the Electoral Commission, the chairperson is appointed by the president, does not explicitly mean that it's going to be following the presidential guidelines, or it doesn't mean it explicitly. Because when you look at even the chairperson, when the president appoints, the same article provides that there is approval of the parliament, of which the parliament, it is represented by all the people in Uganda. Another thing is that maybe when we seek, and also, I also need it, we seek for amendments, but then we cannot act ultra vires, because that is what the law is saying. So me personally, I also look at that we can seek for constitutional or the amendments of the law, electoral electoral laws especially. But that is what the law says. And besides, when the chairperson is appointed by the president, it does not explicitly mean that he is going to follow. This person, okay, let's talk about Justice Byabakam. Who question is the credibility of Justice Byabakam for all the time he has been in court? I mean, he's a person who is credible enough to be independent, and he has done that. I'm not saying that election is free and fair, but what I'm saying is that the chairperson of the Electoral Commission should not be blamed in this, because he does what he's supposed to do. Maybe you want him to just to say that I've abandoned the job, but that is what he's supposed to do. Constitutionally, and when you look at the approval of the parliament, is doing exactly within the confines of the law. So we can call maybe for revision of the laws of elections, but then right now, what we have, it is what is following. And I would ask, would you want him to act ultra vires? I mean, he's doing whichever, it is in the confines of the law. The Article 3 gives every Ugandan power to protect the constitution. And that is what I wish to see everyone doing. And it is what I'm exactly doing. The constitution must prevail because it is the grand norm. Many thanks, Madam Nancy.
Thank you so much, my dear panelists, for such a thought-provoking discussion. We'll now take a short break and be right back.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media, or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back to the Inter-University Debate. In studio with me, we have students from the Islamic University in Uganda, from Mbale. To continue the conversation, we are going to dive into civic engagement and youth and innovation and technology, especially during elections. Welcome back from the break.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, so to begin the conversation once again, I'll begin with Ahmed. So do you believe that voter education or the lack of it impacts the credibility of elections in Uganda? If so, why do you think so?
Thank you very much, Madam Nancy.
Yes.
It is very true. I believe that voter education impacts in the credibility of elections in Uganda. Why? When voters are sensitized on why they should vote, it creates a situation where a person knows why I am supposed to vote. How am I supposed to vote? Then when am I supposed to vote? An example I'm going to give you is in 2016, I happened to live with my grandmother in Mityana. So at the time of elections, they were telling her, why are you going to vote? She was like, I'm going to vote for Museveni because I fear war. I don't want wars. So she didn't know why she was voting at that time. So the concern is voter education has to be with an idea of telling people that if you vote, this comes after you voting, that if you vote for a good leader, you're going to get fair and equal representation. Go and vote for this one because he is credible, he's going to tell you and give you what you need from a vote. Then another aspect is when. I'm very sure people up to now, they don't know when are the elections. So we should go back, and this is a role of civic societies, civil organizations, the Electoral Commission itself, and the government to bring out adverts and materials or that sensitize voters when to vote, so that we get a huge number of representation. If you deny voters with information when to vote, it is going to deny the aspect of a representative election.
Yes, considering the the number of adverts that have been put out there, because you can see some on the TV, you can hear some on the radio, and Electoral Commission as the primary body that is responsible for this, but also the Human Rights Commission that is tasked with this role. Do you believe that they are doing enough to make sure that every Ugandan can actually understand the importance of voting, and that this voting will be a reflection of the persons that represent their needs, and afterward the services they're supposed to receive from the government?
I acknowledge the fact that they have tried and they are doing it, but the reality is it is not yet enough.
It is not enough.
It is not enough.
Some people say that that the lack of civic engagement and civic awareness education and civic education is deliberate. What is your take on that? That it is a deliberate move to de-enfranchise people so that they do not vote representative leaders. What is your take on that?
It is very true, and it has been there since. Because in Uganda, at times of elections, we have the aspect of the lack of a free media space for politicians. So it is deliberate. If you give me a chance to explain to you why are you supposed to vote, why you are supposed to vote for me, it is a way that I'm going to bring in my ideas, which is against the ruling government right now. So the idea and what I think is it is deliberate. They have decided to limit the civic education in order to limit the ideas of people who are going to vote. An example I'm going to give you is the appearance on TVs and radios for different politicians. Their role is to bring their manifesto, and everyone has a right and a freedom of expression and the freedom of association. So if I come on your TV to tell you why are you supposed to vote for me, it is the way I am decampaigning, or I will deny you, I will give you a chance to understand that I'm a very better leader than the one who is doing it right now. So the ruling government right now, because the Electoral Commission has not yet started its role, but the ruling government right now is doing it deliberately to deny a chance, because we have people we are seeing that are prisoned because of their propaganda, of their preach, of their ideas on who is to govern tomorrow and why is supposed to be governed. Then this is what I will recommend in regards to voter education. I recommend that the civil society organizations, in Uganda we have many. We have the Center for Constitutional Governance, we have the Citizens Coalition for Electoral Democracy, should go back to the people. Not now leave the role of the Electoral Commission, because what they have done is still not enough. These organizations should go back to the people and tell them why is it very important to vote.
Okay, thank you so much. I will come to you, Ruth. Aside from credibility, another issue on credibility of elections is that for a long time now, many people say that the poll results are already decided even before the polling day. Especially in the presidential elections, they say we already know who is going to win, and not in a positive light that there is popular support, or perhaps some people say there is popular support.
Yes,
however, people say it with a sort of resignation, and right now there is an ongoing online campaign saying boycott elections because the results are already obvious. So why do you believe that Why do you believe that? Why do some people? What are the key reasons that Ugandans believe that the polling results are already decided even before the polling day?
All right, thank you so much, Nancy. So once again, I greet everyone. I'm Ruth Gloria Chamusto from Islamic University in Uganda. So there is that, and it's very true. Most people have the mindset, they have the belief, and they actually believe that they know the president, they know the next president, and they know what the outcome of the results. And I think the key reasons to such a belief or to such a narrative is a few factors. Like still, I'll go back to the Electoral Commission. I'll talk about the Electoral Commission. I'll talk about social media. I'll also talk about the mere fact that the ruling party or the NRM party has ruled for a long period of time. So the long term it has been in power gives people the same reason to believe that it will still rule. So going to talk about the long term it has stayed in power. NRM has been in power for 40 years. So I think it also comes back to me and you to start thinking of what possibly would happen to make him leave power, because I think all things have been done, right? And then it has been in power for 40 years. So you start to see what other possibly kind of
Aside from
policy,
elections,
besides from elections, could Ugandans come up with to overthrow the ruling party? That is where Ugandans now start to see. You see, there was a time I was having a conversation with my friends, and then one of them actually told me, you know what, Chamusto, I think I just believe that we have to wait for the current president to die before we can have another president. But then you also look at the time we are having elections, right? Things like nominations, they're all controlled by the current government. Even the time elections are going to be set, right? They're the ones who decide. They come up with the framework of how it's going to run. Like we have the roadmap right now of how elections are going to be done. It is still people in power that have drawn that roadmap. There is nothing that opposition has to do with it. They have to wait for it, right? When we come back to Electoral Commission, we have been arguing about the independence of the Electoral Commission. And me, I think I think it holds the highest percentage of us having credible elections in Uganda. So if it is not independent, then I think it will still, like one of my panelists said, that if you're working for your boss, then you'll have to be accountable to your boss. You cannot go against him. So if I have appointed you in my office, then I expect you to work according to what I'm going to tell you. So I'm the one who appointed you, and then you're going to declare results otherwise. I think it may not work. So that is just what it comes to. Then also coming to social media. You remember in my presentation previously, I told you that in 2021, we had, I think, 2 days or 1 day and a half where there was a shutdown of internet, right? So no one knew what was happening because apparently we are moving through technology where we have to get everything through what is happening on internet. So at this point, no one is accessing internet. No one is on Facebook. No one is on WhatsApp. There is no internet. No one can make calls. So that was also an interference. And it is still...
To interject a little bit.
Yes, please.
The media houses were showing us information. Would you believe that, would you not believe that that information was credible, even if social media was shut down?
When we also to look at other people giving us this information, a lot of people start to also question them, because you see a point where there is campaigns ongoing, right? You'll see journalists moving out to pick information to publish, but most times when they are going on and there is an NRM kind of broadcast and that the president is moving around in a rally, the kind of interference they have is so minimal. But when we see NOP coming in, we see a lot of journalists being beaten, a lot of people being... So I would still question the credibility of such information that we are given. We are not still certain, because every time we have people moving out to rally, you see every time that, I think of last week, Bobby Wine had, I think, a meeting with his people. And just even when they have not started anything, you will see how much the army has come, the police has come. So you still now start to see it's the same reason that Ugandans have to believe that maybe elections are already decided. Because you see, even when we are to look at the elections that have happened over time, so I think from 2006, 2011, 2016, 2021, all of them have ended up to petitions in court. So what is the outcome of these petitions? They tell us that yes, they have noticed the irregularities. I think that is when you go to read those cases, those are the words they use. But they are not credible enough to render these elections null, or they cannot, like, the irregularities are not good enough to actually influence the outcome of the results. So how can we then be sure that these irregularities are not actually valid enough to influence the outcome of results if they are coming up and again? We have someone we kept believing that Besigye maybe would be our next president, but of course he did not. But also, I also have another issue that I would still raise, that I think we still give NRM an upper hand to win. I think the opposition leaders, they still have a weak kind of system. I think the opposition, to me, in my personal opinion, I think they have a weak, they're also weak they're not cooperative. They also have their own divisions among themselves. So you see, if you are looking up to something that you want to achieve, then you also must be organized, because the opposition parties that we have that come up and they want to do something, they also have their own confusion among themselves. So they are not also united. They don't have something they want to achieve. This day they have this, the other day they have this, the other day they're talking about this. So I also see that opposition needs to, if they want to achieve something better, then let them get a bit more organized. Because personally, if I was to be, I don't always want to rule myself into a political party. I support this political party, I don't support this. So I will not say that I belong to NUP, I belong to NRM, but I look at an individual. So if opposition can actually come up with a better plan of what they actually want, I think it would be so better. But if today they are having this, tomorrow they are having this, and also to still talk about the belief or the narrative that we have, that we all know who will be our next president. Looking at what happens to opposition people, we have seen how much Besigye has been frustrated. We have seen how much he has been arrested and tied in his house. Currently, he's not even having that freedom. He has been having house arrests. We just see how much he has been frustrated. So all his efforts have actually come up to zero. And I'm also seeing the same that will happen to the current opposition party that is coming up. So if they still want to achieve something, my advice would be, if we want to, I think, remove the narrative from us, then we need to come up with better things that we need to achieve. And that means that opposition needs to unite together and then come up with a better framework of what they want. But if they're still confused and still handling their things in a confused manner, then I think we may not achieve what we want. The other thing I would talk about is, I think I've talked about social media, then the resources. Now, every time we're going to have elections, I think that the current government actually has more autonomy or has more influence in the resources of the country, things like cars, money, so they actually have an upper hand. So whatever they're going to do, they're going to deliver it to the people, like to a better extent, right? To a bigger extent than the opposition would have done, or any other party or an independent person, because you have to look at your own resources, a kind of car, the money you're going to use. But if it's NRM, they're going to use the resources that the country has in forms of money, the cars. So you see that they would still have, and then now, you know, Ugandans believe in giving you a vote with money. That is the kind of poor mindset we have had. They will vote you for how much you have offered. So we still just see that the narrative still continues, and it's very true. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. From what I get from your discussion is that the playing field is not leveled for all participants in the election. That is why they believe that the result is obvious. Thank you very much. So, Alexander.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we'll bring you back into the conversation. In your view, how is technology, because right now we are introducing technology into the electoral cycle. In our first election, in some of our elections, we had lining up even the NRM primaries, even the 1994 elections that brought people that brought the people who debated the constitution to the assembly. They lined up behind the representatives. But now we are going to more sophisticated things, introducing technology in the absence of social media, or in an era where there is shutdown of the internet to control the speech in the country. How do you believe that technology can weaken or boost the trust of Ugandans in the elections?
Yeah, many thanks once again, Madam Nancy. I'm Alexander Igaba. Islamic University in Uganda, main campus. So basically, when you look at technology, it has done something that is very good as far as elections are concerned. When we draw back to the history of how elections in Uganda, right away from, I think when NRM rose to power, and the very first election that was held under NRM government in 1989, the election of NRM, the first election of NRM, there was a public queuing. They could line up physically on a person of your interest. Then also the following election, 1994, 2001, and I think this was just, we got away with this when we went to the 2006 elections. But the same system, it is still in the NRM, internal party, public queuing. Now, when you look at that thing, it is something that is bringing chaos. I think the viewers and my panelists can witness and agree to this, that if we were actually looking at the elections of NRM, you saw the chaos that was there. The instances from Mbale, where there was the general, the retired general of the army versus the incumbent MP, that is Sech Kubo, in Remiyaga, where you go to Rukunjiri, where there was Jim Muhwezi and also the General Tumukunde, retired General Tumukunde. You see that there was a lot of clashes in those elections. But what brought about all this? They are saying that people that are voting are not on the voters register. They are not on NRM register. But we see that when we bring in technology, this is a problem solved. Because biometrics, they scan your iris of the eye, the iris of the eye, they scan the fingerprints. So it means that for you to vote, they will first authenticate. They will first make sure that you are on the register and not just providing your name, because names may be the same. I'm Tami Alexander Igaba, my brother is also Tami Alexander Igaba. What if he says that I'm the one? So there was double, people could vote and vote again and again and again. But we are saying that with the coming of technology, this is something that we are going to zero down. Nothing like voting multiple times when you're one person. So it is one achievement that technology can do for us. The second thing is that we've been talking about voters' education. But when you look at our population right now, regarding the statistics of that they produce just of recent, the youth are the majority. And can you catch the eye of the youth on the mainstream media? Not really. Okay, few do attend to that. But majority of them, you find them on Instagram, on TikTok, so if you embrace on those medias and you try to talk to them, let me give you a case in point. The youth elections of recent, majority of people didn't know that even opposition political parties contesting in the youth elections. They have just known that because of the influence of this opposition party, NUP, and other parties. They didn't know. And me inclusive, I thought that youth elections are for NRM, because they could just come and tell you, like the chairman is the one to appoint, you're going to work with me, you and you. I mean, nothing like election, because all the people that could contest were from one party. So after the primaries, the one that NRM sends is the representative of the youth. It has been erased right now. You saw that there was a very, very good rivalry between NRM and the NUP, that even some places NUP won. So the influence of technology, it is doing a very, very good job. And also, when we are talking about the influence of technology, it is not coined only with, like I said, biometrics for Electoral Commission, but also the civic space. The civic organizations are also doing this. They have embraced, instead of going to they go to those mainstream medias and they explain, but they have also tried to incorporate. You find the account on X of a civic organization, you find the account on TikTok, account on all those youth medias, because they are looking for the population, that everyone is getting this information. But how do you get it? You get that through the media. So I think we are traversing and we are doing very well with technology. It is something that is helping us, and it is a future for Uganda. I hear people try to propose something that why don't we do, but what we do, like people have been saying, why don't we do elections also online so that a person can vote from anywhere? That one I could not propose it, because when you look at media is very good, but then there are glitches in media. There is a lot of glitch. You cannot say that you can vote online because they can be hacked. What if they hack? Like they hack and they just said that 30 million have voted for the president of for Chiagulani, but yet they have not voted for him. So I think when we are looking at media, we should not also overuse it. Look at the opposition people. When you're talking about your president, that is very good. It is okay. You're talking about the manifesto of the president, is very good. But when you go on like TikTok, you start abusing people. People that have tried to work for where they are. Okay, we are not saying that they are perfect, but they are trying to do. Media is there, but what I urge is that let everyone that is using the media use it in the right way. You campaign for your candidate. Make sure that is known. Unleash the manifesto. But again, don't go to attack. When you attack, when it is a positive criticism, it is okay. But you attack and you abuse even the children, even everyone, the whole family, you abuse the whole family. I mean, it doesn't make sense. That's why even people say that we can't give power to those people who abuse like that. They can't trust you with the power if you can do that. But you behave in a polite way. Whenever you attack in a positive way. When you criticize, talk about the loopholes. Who doesn't see them? The point was also in Kampala. We all see them. You said that why the government is not working upon this, but you go to attack a person. Why are your children here in USA? I mean, is it an offense? Is it an offense for a person to afford that? I mean, if it is a criticism, let it be positive one. And I applaud the media, only that those people that are using media in a way that is unprofessional, they should also be, they should be handled. They should not be led to go astray, because at the end of the day, we may lose it all. Because the media, it is not something that is curtailed to Uganda. It is everywhere. It goes to the whole world. The whole world is seeing. So whichever you do reflects the image of Uganda. Right now, Uganda is banned to go to Ugandans are banned to go to this country, to UAE. And other countries are banning immigration of Ugandans to those countries. Why? Because of those things. So media is good, technology is good, but also we should use it when we are guided, and we should follow the guidelines. Thank you so much.
Using the media responsibly.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. And just to note, in Nepal, the Gen Z overthrew the government and voted a new prime minister online. So it is also, it is widely possible, but yes, as you're right, we should use media very responsibly. And now we will go to the last speaker on the panel. Humaima, I want you to talk about youth involvement, because we talk about free and fair elections. We talk about the credibility of elections. One of the components of credibility of elections being inclusivity. And in our elections, we have talked about the youth being left out, especially in positions, but also women and maybe persons with disability. So what role should, for example, young Ugandans play in helping to bring electoral, in reforming the electoral process that is already very difficult for us? What role can young people play in reforming this process?
Well, then, thank you so much, Nancy. To start with, I want to answer my fellow panelists that Uganda has not been banned to go to UAE. They're still going. That's what was clarified just yesterday by their ambassador. The youth participation, we look at the youth coming into participation back then in 2021, where we see the rise of His Excellency, by then Honorable Chagulanyi Robert, when he came as an MP. There we see that there was a lot of participation coming in, where the SIGs, also came in, were considered in parliament. We see that the women, the people with disabilities being also given a seat or being given space in to come and lead. It started by then in 2021. And we have seen that since that year, there has been a lot of improvement in youth. We have seen that throughout all these years, 2021, and now we are going for the 2026, we are seeing that youth are coming in with much interest in various positions, from the the local councils to the presidential seats. We have seen that most of them are coming in. We even saw recently the nominations. We see a 21-year-old girl going for election, to pick up the nomination for presidency. We see like all the people that were there, the big number. By that time there are over 100 people coming for presidents, and half of them were the youth, and of course the others were the Vazes. And there has been a lot of improvement in this process, where we have seen that all constituency, we have seen youth coming in the opposition parties coming in. We have seen them appearing everywhere, at least even in MP seats, where all along we thought they are for only big people. We have seen big elderly people are competing with young people. So there has been a lot of improvement, a lot of interest. And looking at the population of Uganda, where we say that it's over 75% of the Ugandan population being the youth, according to the 2021 analysis, we see that most of the people in Uganda are youths, and that's where all our eyes are at the moment. That's why you see most youth are coming up and being like age limit. We are all those things, because they feel they have the energy, the zeal. They feel they have, That's why you saw the Nepal youth coming up and catching the state and getting it in their hands and destroying everything, because they believe they have the energy, they have the resource, they have the power. A Gen Z person, how a Gen Z feels, they know everything. Our generation, we know that we know everything. So one thing about the youth participating in this electoral commission is awareness. Most time that we see that youth phone-minded and social media-minded, where you see people having several accounts. They're everywhere in media. You find others here. So one thing the youth can do is create awareness to their fellow peers, to their fellow people, by using those accounts, as my fellow panelists talked about, using the TikTok to create awareness to the rest of the world about the importance of taking in elections, and also about the importance of having elections that we are all supervising, that we are all opening our eyes. And also we also, when the youth also come up and create awareness, that's when other more youth will come. Not all the youth in Uganda have these media things that we see. We see some in the villages don't have phones, and there is no way they can reach out. But when youth come up and move to those villages, being that they are so influential than the big people, although they don't have resources like the way big people have, big people cannot even go and speak much. They can put in money and they shut you up and you're ready. But the youth is so influential. A youth can speak to you, and you even have the zeal to participate in elections. So it will be important if the youth also move to places. And yeah, we have seen them with this recent NRM preliminaries. We have seen that the youth have participated a lot, where they have participated in district registrars. They have come in to support their electoral commission. And yeah, we have seen something good coming up, where we have seen hundreds of them coming in to vote, though most people are, of course, are using in money. But yeah, regardless, the youth are participating, and they're causing a lot of influence. Right now, big people are tired, they're old, and they're home, and now the biggest number of the people are the youth. So awareness by the youth is very important, because they're so influential. And also going to schools is the same thing. We saw of recently in Mbale, in Mbale High School, the EC with some youth went to school, and they really created awareness in Mbale, and in Mbale particularly, where we saw that they spoke to the staff, they spoke to a lot of people, and people started getting, that courage that, yeah, I can participate. Because even the constitution itself, the 1995 constitution, gives mandate to a person above the age of 18 to do what? To vote. So when it doesn't just end at the constitution, because most people even don't know what the constitution talks about. Not all people know. So if a youth who knows the law, or a youth who has heard of something, goes into the high schools, to places, and speaks to someone, yeah, it will create awareness to them. them and be like, yeah.
Allow me ask something. So, you know, aside from the awareness creation, which is a good thing,
Yes.
because everyone has got to be aware,
Mhm.
how can the youth act responsibly? Because one of the things that undermines the credibility of elections is the violence, and many people say that the youth perpetrate this violence. So how can we meaningfully engage in elections without destroying the thing that we hold sacred? Because that is because elections are the thing that give us the change in government or the next governance structure of the nation. So how can the youth engage meaningfully without, you know, going astray, as you guys say?
Yeah, thank you so much. This first of all goes back to the party heads. It's the responsibility of the party heads, their chairpersons or the responsible bodies of the parties to talk to their fan base or to talk to the youth in their parties, to be calm, to be, you know, to handle things maturely. And also it takes youth themselves. You see, there is no way someone will act violently and something good happens. You've seen in Nepal where people acted so violently and they've destroyed the state down, and we are going to see a long process for the state of that Nepal coming up again. So it goes back to the political, the party heads. If they talk to their people or to their youth to handle mature, like for example, give a case of a point. If, for example, His Excellency Bobby Wine goes to his youth, you know, now all of us know that the biggest number of youth are in Noob. And of course, the narrative is the most violent youth are from Noob. So if these party heads like His Excellency Chaglani goes back to his party, calls these people and talks to them of how to handle things, trust me, there will be something matured, there will be no violence. We shall not see the army anywhere, because now we have taken in first in our political parties, we have spoken to our political parties, and we are sorted in our political parties. Now, you see why the youth rise and be mad is because we see that they're influenced by their party heads. Now, I can't see my father, or I can't see someone elderly than me, or someone who influences me. I can't see them, you know, being violent and I don't be violent. What makes this youth of ours be violent are the people ahead of them, the people who lead them. Once they see them also talking violently, once they see them behaving violently, trust me, they can come up and also be violent. They can come up and speak anyhowly. So it also takes us, the people who are above there, who are up, the ones who are in these offices, come up and speak to the youth. And also, it goes back to this organization, the youth-led organization. It's very important for these initiatives to come up, organize youth-led initiatives, talk to the youth, the seminars, the conferences, and talk to these people of how a matured election should be, of how voting process should be held calmly, of how, you know, like I can give a case of a point in Kavala University. I applaud the EC because we find out that the Honorable Biabakama, he went there, Justice Biabakama himself and his committee, they went there and spoke to the youth. And I believe that through them speaking, those people, it changed their perspective towards elections. So also, if we have those organizations going in, not only the government, but these non-profit organizations going in to speak to the youth, trust me, we shall have these elections coming up well. We shall have calm elections without violence, without anything. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Humeima. You had an interjection, Ruth.
Yeah, thank you so much. So there is just something I wanted to say that was, I think, besides, it includes what we have all been discussing. So our theme has been Uganda's quest for unending free and fair elections. We're all looking for a free and fair election. So I would just give a personal clarity on what we observe and what possibly could be done, right? So we have NRM that we all keep talking about. First of all, I would like to thank NRM, led by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. They have done a lot. When I was starting my speech earlier on, I talked about a 10-point program. They had a 10-point program, which to some extent, to a larger extent, I think they have achieved. I think we can, you can walk in Uganda when you're sure of your life, you can have a meal a day, but at some point they also haven't achieved. and I talked about corruption. And where they haven't achieved, I think the failures of NRM are people that are in NRM. Personally, when they are talking about the failures of NRM, I always don't want to look at Museveni as a person. I want to look at the people that are working with NRM. Because when you look at the recent primaries that we had, where they were actually having the NRM flag bearers being elected. Now, when you look at all the things that flowed in that election, in those elections, it wasn't Museveni participating in them. It was us. It was us that were getting the bribes. It was us that were forming sub-counties that don't exist. It was us that were getting people that don't exist to vote. It was us that was making a pregnant woman to have 2 votes. Because you would see a village where you reach, and then there are formed sub-counties. You reach a village, and then they are making their children are voting. They are not in the registrar. So all that is to us. So I think it wouldn't be a person in NRM. It is us that belong to NRM. We have actually flowed the whole system ourselves. So that is just to us. I think we all just need, because when we even look at, I have a problem with Parliament personally. I think they make a lot of noise. They are not actually doing to us what we actually want them to do. Because there's the saga we had, I think, 2021, the issue of the iron sheets that were to go to Karamoja. That alone gave me a big question. If Ugandans we are too greedy to that point, then I think we are never going to achieve what we want. If we don't love Ugandan, then Museveni can't do it alone. Bobby Wine can't do it alone. His Excellency Chagulanyi cannot do it alone, even when he comes into power. And then we still have the same kind of people who are very greedy. I think Uganda can never achieve what they want. Even if Besigye became the president today and people are still greedy, we don't love our country, then we are never going to achieve what we want. So I think the issue of greed lies in almost every Ugandan. So if we are to take out the greediness, then we can achieve what we want. Humama told us that if the youth want to engage in a sustainable election, in something that is fair for them, let them first remove themselves from violence. Let us have a platform where we can present our issues, just like the way we are here. I want to thank CCG for this opportunity, because I think it will reach to a majority of people without violence. I don't have to fight anyone. I don't have to abuse Museveni. I don't have to abuse His Excellency Chagulanyi so that I can present something. You can always get into dialogue and have your things being spoken. So if opposition also wants to achieve what they want, my advice to them, like I said earlier on, would be an organization. Let them come up together for something that they want that is better. Then for NRM to deliver to us a better system, I think let us work within us. Let us get those inner irregularities that we have within ourselves to achieve something that is better for us. If we are too greedy, then we won't achieve what we want. Let us love our country. Let us love Uganda. Let us love the elections, because through elections is how we can achieve what we want. The head of state is what actually gives us a bigger perspective of how the country will be run and how things will be run. The issues of unemployment, security, food, education will be addressed. It starts right from who we put into power. So that is just my opinion. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Do you have also an intervention? No.
I have it.
You have something. I'll summarize in a minute because we've come to the end of the show.
My concern is about the loss of hope of voters. Why have we lost our hope in voting? I think we should go back to what makes a free and a credible election. First of all is accountability, transparency, and transfer of power. So we go back to transparency. We have seen on days of elections, during the time of counting, power blacks out the whole country. I have voted in Tinder. I'm waiting for elections results. Tomorrow morning, I receive things which didn't happen that day. I remember in 2021, someone asked the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, a journalist, that for us we have things which are different. Where do you get those things? The question was, these are the things that happen. So if we don't have accountability and transparency, us, the voters, are going to be affected, because we are seeing that even if I vote, I'm not going to change anything. But for the Ugandans and the viewers, we should not lose hope. We should go back, because this is what we need to do.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I see that you two have already given your closing statements. I'll take that as your closing statements. Now I'll have Alexander give his closing statement in 1 minute, and then Humeima.
Yeah, thank you so much once again. You know, our theme is Uganda's quest for free and fair election. Actually, an ending quest that has been persisting. Well, how do we achieve this? It goes back to the grassroots. We have political parties, many of them, that people believe in. And also we have people that come independently. So when we want free and fair election, it starts with the political parties. In the first place, everyone that subjects himself to a political party should accept whichever thing that is done in that political party. Because that is the all political parties, they subjected their constitution to the Electoral Commission. So if you say that I belong to the NUP, trust the process of NUP. If you belong to the NRM, trust the process of NRM. And another thing, we are seeing a lot of questions about the army's intervention in the elections. Sometimes they are also attracted by the people. For example, of recent, I think every Ugandan who has been following is aware that the principal or president of NUP, Chagulanyi, called out to the youth to establish groups, yeah, in the context of Igari, those groups. So when you say that I want groups to come here, Igari, so that they protected the elections, but we have police. We have police, but for you, you're calling them. So it also gets to the intelligence of the police and other bodies that bring about peace in Uganda. So that, why are you calling these people to come here? What are you insinuating? That's bringing about the abductions, which are not good. But sometimes we also bring them. You're having a parade of a parade of people are masquerading to be military officers, saluting, marching like they are armed officers. And what do you expect? You expect a country that is having police to just look at that and say that please continue to abandon it. So what I'm saying is that let's hold the principles of the law. And besides that, let's go back to the grassroots. Let every political party, we can change this. Uganda has never had actually peaceful transition of power. We've had exchange of violence from the beginning up to now. We have not had that Ugandans have elected this person and has been announced as the president without exchange of violence. We can do that, but we can't do that when we are going in the war of abusing or what. Let's do this in a calm way. We can do this. Like my senior Tamale said, what we do, we don't need to lose hope, that despair. Let's have hope in the system, let's trust the system, and let's subject ourselves to the system.
Thank you very much. Humeima, your closing statement.
Thank you so much. One thing I can say is let's not lose hope in this quest for free and fair elections, because good things come. Good things come ahead. It takes patience. It takes calmness. It doesn't take violence. If we use violence, it's when we are worsening the situation. So one thing I'll tell viewers is, for good things to happen, it takes a good person. So if we come up with one mind and sit in round tables and discuss and come up with things that are going to help us ahead, it will be of great of greatness to us. And also one thing is that is letting us behind is Ugandans, we are accepting a lot of bribes from various people. That's why we are failing the world system. That's why we are failing the world. Everything we are failing it because we are accepting bribes. So one thing I can tell Ugandans, though yes, we are in the poor state, we are in poverty state as it's said in the world rankings, one thing I should tell us is let's not accept bribes. Be the keeper of the constitution, be the keeper of the law. Let's not accept bribes, because the moment we're accepting bribes is when we're introducing more problems to ourselves. So one thing I'll tell us is let's keep an open eye, and this quest shall come to an end if we be patient and be these people, these good people with no violence. One thing I'll tell the youth is, the youth, we are the generation, we are the Gen Zs. One thing about us is we have the power. We have the power in ourselves. So let's use that power well. Let's use this power well to, to influence the world, not to destroy the world, not to destroy our friends. And also, I would like to applaud all these youth-led organization, like the Center of Governance. It's one thing that has helped reach to a lot of souls, a lot of hearts concerning the Constitution. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all of my panelists. Thank you, Humeima. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Ruth. And thank you, Tamale. We have come to the end of this discussion on the inter-university debate. As we reflect on Uganda's electoral journey from 1961 to present, one thing is clear. Credibility is not a luxury. It's a necessity for the democracy worth its name. Uganda's constitution, now 30 years old, was envisioned as a safeguard for justice, transparency, and free expression of the people's will. Yet the question remains, has the promise been kept or we've postponed it? My name is Nancy Caroline Ayot. I hosted this session. Thank you very much.